The main UI is divided into what three sections? Banner frame, application navigator, and content frame. What does the banner frame contain? Logo and global navigation control. What does the application navigator contain? Provides links to all application menu and module. What does the content frame contain? Displays information like lists, forms, homepage, and wizards. What's the name of the application navigator search box? Type filter text. What's a module and application in the example incident create new? Incident is the application and create new is the module. What is the edge? It's a gray new toolbar on the left hand side of the screen. What are the 5 ways you can search in ServiceNow? List, global text search, knowledge base, navigation filter, live feed. Where is the list search option? Above list view lets you narrow down search. Where is the global search text? It's in the banner. True or false? Searches are case sensitive. False. What is the name of the text indexing search engine? Zing. Where will you change the banner icon and text? In the system properties, then to my company. Where will you change the banner color and the other colors? System properties, then CSS. What 2 ways can something in the edge bar be open? In Windows flyout or in a Windows pane? What does a list display? It displays information in a table, organized in sortable and columns. What does a form display? Displays information from a record. What is record? What is a record? It is one set of a table field. What does the list editor do? It allows you to update the records without having to go into a form. What is a sysid? It is a unique 32-character, globally unique ID used to identify a record. So when you send someone an incident link, the sysid is within the link. Where are breadcrumbs in the ServiceNow? It's the filter views. For example, when you run a report, the more you add, the longer it will get. What options do you have for save filter? You can save to yourself or a group. Admins can save it to everyone. Where do save filters end up? Click on the arrow next to the application and right-click Select Filters. What does the search term !* do? Search do. It means it does not contain. What happens to the gear icon once you make changes? It means you customize the columns in your list. What does the gear in the list view allow you to do? It's a slush bucket that allows you to add or remove columns just from your view. How does a sysadmin set list layout view globally? Go to the list and right-click. Select Personalize and List Layout. True or false? Resetting the list layout globally will override personal preference. False. Not out of the box. You can probably blow away a database record if you do that. How do you edit a form? Go to a form, right-click, select Personalize Form. What does the red light form field indicator mean? It requires a field that has a saved form. What does the light green form field indicator means? It means the field has been modified. To retain, you have to click Save. What does the red form field indicator mean? It's a required field that requires a value. What does the orange field indicator mean? Read-only data that is not editable on this form. What does a red dashed line indicate in a form field? That there is an invalid data or a mistyped word. What iOS version are supported for the ServiceNow? iOS 6, and for the Droid, Android 4.0. How do you get a mobile and a tablet version of an SN? At the end of the service.now.com/ you will add a $m.do or $tablet.do. What functionality do you get from a mobile version of ServiceNow? Application Navigator, Label and Favorites, Lists and Forms. What do plugins do? They provide additional optional functionality. How do you get to the plugins? Search the navigator for plugins and activate them. What is a user? It's one record stored by the user sysuser table. What form can a user see their user record? My profile. How are users brought into ServiceNow, both account and authentication? Manually in ServiceNow, LDAP, and single sign-on, which is the SSO. What type of connection does ServiceNow make to LDAP? A read-only connection. ServiceNow can integrate with any solutions that uses one of the following 5 techniques. Unencrypted HTTP browser, digest token authentication, SAML 1.1 browser post file, SAML 2.0 web browser, SSO profiles, stateless open ID with signature verification. What is a group? One record stored in a sysuser group table, and it is a collection of users who share a common purpose. What is one way to create a group? In a user record form, create the group that the user will automatically be added. Why would you create a group? To assign permissions, identify a subset of skills for a skill asset assignment, provide a reference for alert. What is a role? It is one record in the sysuser role table, and it's a personal that is assigned to a group or person. What are ServiceNow provided roles? System administrator, fulfiller, requester, approval. What does the system administrator role have access to? All system features, application, function, and data. What does the ESS requester have access to? Users can submit requests and manage their own requests, access public pages, take surveys, and use live feed and chat. True or false? A role does not inherit all permissions of any role it includes. False. What does the personalized form role do? It can manage all forms and list changes. What's the best practice for assigning roles? Assign roles to groups. What does the ITIL fulfiller role have access to? ITIL activities associated with the ITIL workflow. What is a delegate? Any person another user designated to receive What is a delegate? Another user designated to receive and interact with approval and task assigned. True or false? The role delegation comes turned on and ready to go out of the box. False. It's a plug-in. You have to make sure it is turned on. What does skills plugin allow you to do? You can assign competence to groups or individual. What tabs will you find at the bottom of a user record by default? Roles group. If skills and delegates are turned on, then you'll see those tabs too. How do you toggle tabs in a form? By clicking on Toggle Tabs icon. What's considered best practice when it comes to assigning roles? Give it to the group. What type of DB is ServiceNow built on? MySQL. What does a database table contains? Records. And what does records contain? Fields. And what does fields? And what is a field? It is a column in the record. It is where you store individual pieces of data. And how does a table organize data? How does a table organize data? By rows, records, and fields. How could you modify a field? With a form or list editor. What are the two most commonly used core tables? Task and configuration item. What are the 5 most common extended tables of the task? Incident, problem, change, request, service catalog request, service catalog requested item. What are the 3 most common extended table of the CMDB? sysuser, sysuser group, and KB knowledge. Where can you get a list of existing tables with columns, column attributes, and indexes? Tables and columns. What is the primary use of tables and column module? To view the schema map. Aside from viewing the schema map, what else can you do in the tables and column module? You can create a new table or edit an existing table, create a new application, or browse existing application, delete all records from a table. Aside from viewing, who has access to the schema maps and tables and column module? Only the administrator. How are tables related to each other? One-to-many, many-to-many, extension, database views. What are the 3 examples of one-to-many database? Reference fields, glide list, and documented field ID. What is an extended table? It's a table that includes all entries from their parent table and unique values. What are the mechanics of making extended table? Create a new table and fill out the extended table field. You can only do this when creating the table. What related table does the schema map show? Class extension or reference. On a schema map, boxes that have green or blue bars are what? Have been extended. Tables that have red bars in a schema map are what? Reference fields. How are reference fields identified in ServiceNow? With a reference lookup icon. Think of the caller field, you can look them up. What's in the data dictionary table? It defines every field and it defines every table and field in the system. It contains information about a field data type, character limit, default value, dependency, and other attributes. What does the field type collection? How does the field type collection behave? It's the control record of the table and determine whether the table will be audited, default sorting, attribute of table, and how it will behave when it is a reference field. What does a dictionary override do? It provides the ability to override several aspects of the field in a table. What's a good use case of extended table? You want the default value of an incident to be different from the task because the task field state controls the default value. On task, it sets to 1. Well, you will use a dictionary override to change the default value for incident. What are the default values in numbering? It starts at 1000 and has 7 characters. ServiceNow automatically provides numbers for which table? Incident, problem, change, request, knowledge. Where do you manage record numbering? System definition, number maintenance. What database field stores the record number? Sys number. What table can't be deleted? Base table, which is the task, and the CMDB CI table. How would you delete a custom table? Go to the system definition, table, and click on delete all records in a table. And you'll find a few that are, you'll get a few, are you sure? Prompt message. So in other words, it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to delete? When you delete a table, what else get deleted? Records, choice list items, forms, form section, lists, and related lists, reports, gauges or gauges, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And reference fields. What is App Creator? It allows citizens, developers to create apps. How do you work on your app? After creating it, select it as your current application and begin developing. How do you deactivate an application? System application, open the app record and uncheck the active checkbox. What else happens when you make an application inactive? All associated menus, modules, and ACLs are set inactive. What are the 2 ways you can access the application creator? Either go to the system application, create application, or click on the create new application icon in the banner next to application. When you create a new app, what automatically gets created? Roles, menus, and files under related links, but not a table. Where will you add a table for a new application? Go to application, click on the table tab, and click new. Where will you add a module for a new application? Pick the application form from the picker in the banner. Click the gear so that you bring the application up on the module tab and add new. What are the major steps to building an application? Create it, add a table, add fields, add modules to use a form. What is an import set? It's a tool used to import data from various data sources, and it maps the data in the ServiceNow table. True or false? All users can manage and set up import sets. False. Only users with admin role. What happens if the data being imported by an import set is the same as the data in the table? It skips it. What external sources can you import using import set? JDBC, HTTP, FTP, Excel, CAB, XML. How will you import data from LDEP? Through Leap Server Record Configuration, not an import set. What function does the import set table serve? It's a staging area for records imported from a fetch source. What does the transform map do? It determines the relationship between fields displaying in an import set table to fields in the existing ServiceNow table. What is auto-matching functionality of the transform map? It looks at the column names in the import set table and automatically matches to the production table column. What part of ServiceNow are designed to be integrated with? CMDB, incident, problem, change, user administration, and single sign-on. What are the best practices of importing data into ServiceNow? Know what you are bringing in, where it should be placed, verify data before you import it, remove obsolete data. What are the 4 major steps of importing data into ServiceNow? Load the data into an import set table, create a transform map to match, what's going where, run transform cleanup the import set table. What does specifying a coalesce mean? The field or fields you specify will be used as a unique key. Where will you go to start an import set? System import set, load data. Where will you go to do a transform map? After you import using load data, under next steps, you'll see a link to create a transform map. True or false? Transform map can only be used once. False. You can use them over and over to bring data over. How does automating in an import set work? It takes the name of import set table headings and matches it the existing column field names. What does mapping assist utility do for an import set? It lets you align what fields are going to what. What happens if a match is found with the field that has been marked coalesce? The existing record will be updated with the new information. Where will you go to clean up and remove a used import set table? You will go to System Import Sets, Import Set Table, then to clean up. True or false? Asset and CI are often the same entity, but information about them are expressed differently. True. ITIL says the asset information is used for valuing, depreciating, determining cost allocation strategy. What is a CI? A tangible device or intangible dedicated software in the CMDB. Why is it better to manage machines in the CMDB than asset? Because the data gets stored somewhere that can take advantage of other tools. If a card on a switch goes down, then who's affected? What is a business service map? It's a tool that allows you to see a CI and everything that needed to be support, which is the upstream, and everything it supports, downstream. What is CMDB according to ServiceNow? It's a series of tables that contain all the assets and business services controlled by your company as well as their configuration. What are the 2 main CMDB tables? CMDB underscore CI, which is all basic attributes, and CMDB REL CI, which is the CI relational between CIs. What are the 2 base tables in ServiceNow? Task and CMDB CI. What is a schema map? It displays the details of a CMDB, showing the relationship between CI. What does inheritance do for an extended table? It allows the child table to share fields in a single source. If a table is extended, but itself is not extended, it's called a base class. How do you populate the CMDB? Discovery, import set, integrate with CMDB, web services, help to help desk, manual. Where will you go to the navigator to add a server to the CMDB? Configuration, server, all, and click Add New. Where can you access the knowledge base form from? Any form that has the knowledge icon, the ESS self-service. The ITIL users can get it through self-service and service desk. Admin and knowledge managers have additional ability with other modules. How can you populate the knowledge base? Manually, from a service catalog record producer, automatically from events, most importantly, from incidents and other tasks. Give an example of automatically create events-driven knowledge article. Server outage triggers a knowledge-based news item. What are the notable KB database field? Topic, category, valid to, attachment link, workflow, roles, and article type. What does the article type field do in a KB form? It lets you pick between an HTML and wiki editor for writing your articles. What happened to KB articles that are flagged? They end up in a flag article section. You'll also see any feedback someone left. True or false? The knowledge base can only be viewed by someone logged into the ServiceNow. False. A KB can be both public and private. By default, it sets to private so that the logged users can see it. True or false? You can limit ServiceNow access by IP ranges. True. You can make your ServiceNow instance only available to certain instances. What does the KB search icon look like? A blue book. What does a service catalog do according to ServiceNow? It's an ordering system for goods and services. It's a one-stop shopping. Access to service desk where you can get help and training. What are the major components of the ServiceNow service catalog? Record producers, build system components associated with the request, items, variables, help the shopper, order guides to bundle items, and workflows. What is a record producer? It's an interface used to create service catalog records, an alternative to lists and forms. What can the record producer be used for? Workflow-based things, request emergency change wizards, etc. What does requester see when they go into the ServiceNow? Self-service item. What do fulfillers, ITIL users see when they access the service catalog? They can see open records, requests, items, and tasks. What do admins see when they have access to service catalog? Everything. Catalog definition, policies, and variables. How do you get the categories on the incident and other tables? Go to the system definition, choice list. What are the out-of-box progress stage for a request? Waiting for approval, approved, pending, completed. What can you do when a service catalog item once it's built? You can publish it to a service catalog, group in the order guide, show users questions and choices. In regards to the service catalog, what are variables? They define the questions to ask the end user ordering the catalog item. And what are the service catalog variable types? Common web elements, multiple choice, select box, single line text, reference, checkbox. And what is a variable set? It's a container with variables. You can reuse the sets. And where will you create a variable set? You will go to Service Catalog, Catalog Variables, then to Variable Sets. What is an order guide? It allows users to order everything they need for one particular type of user. And where will you add a device catalog item in ServiceNow? Service Catalog, Catalog Definition, Maintain Item, and click New. And where will you add options such as, an example, memory to a service catalog? Go to the items and add choices under the variable tab. And where will you go to add an order guide? Service catalog, catalog definition, order guides, and then click new. And where will you create the order guide choices and questions, such as department, for an example? You will go to the order guide and go to the variables section, click new. Where will you create the rules for the order guide? For example, department will equal sales. Go to the order guide and click on the rule-based tab. What is a workflow? It's a virtual representation of activities consisting of connected steps planned out in a sequential manner. What are workflows primarily used for? To automate a sequence of activities. What database field does the workflow keep progress? In the stage field in service request item. What two workflow stages for the service request items are available out of the box? Request scheduled. It is request canceled completed. What two workflow stages for service request item are available out of the box? Okay, I just repeated that. Same thing over. 1 second. I got to plug. My laptop about to go dead on me. I'm reading this as a recording. Okay. What are the three elements of a workflow? Approval, task, and notification. Where do you create a workflow? In a graphical workflow editor. What table does the service catalog workflow sit on? The ServiceNow request. True or false? All workflows absolutely must have a beginning and an end. True. Where will you go to view an existing workflow? Workflow editor. What do you have to do to a workflow to edit it? You need to check it out. This prevents error. What is workflow activity? It's a block that organizes the individual activity the workflow performs as it runs. What are the major workflow activities? Approval, conditions, notification, task, timer, utilities. What does service catalog purchase approval go to? Whoever is listed as the manager on the user table. What tables are SLAs kept? On the contract SLA table. What are SLAs according to ServiceNow? A set of amount time for a task to reach certain condition. If SLA task does not reach certain conditions, then it is marked as breach. What are the four components that drive the SLA plugin? SLA definition, task SLA, SLA workflow, SLA automation. What are the types of SLAs? SLA, OLA, and UC. And where will you define the OLAs and the UCs? In the task SLA form. In what table are the individual tasks stored? In the task SLA. What is the only difference between defining an SLA and the OLA/UC. You fill in a different value for type field. What are some fields not in the SLA form? Retro start, that would just mean when to start. Duration, which is the user specified. Duration type, such as 2 business days. Schedule, such as like the workday schedule. Time zone, condition, which is the start time and pause. How do you get to a ServiceNow report? You will go to report, then to view run. What tables can you not run reports on? System table, system audit, syslog, syslog transaction, sys attachment, sys email. What are the main tools you can use to tailor ServiceNow? UI policy, data policy, UI actions, and scripts. Before you make a gauge, what must you do? What must you do? You must make a report that will feed to the gauge or gauge. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. What is a UI policy? It's a rule that applies to a form to dynamically change form information or form itself. Where do UI policy run? On the client side, which is the browser. What is data policy? Enables admin to set mandatory and read-only states, fulfill, and can enforce data consistency across applications. You can set import data as read-only user information. True or false? UI policy is only enforced on data that fades through the browser and UI. True. What is UI action? It's the method to the Out button, links and context menu items on a field and list, making the UI more interactive, customizable, and specific to users' activities. When creating a UI action in the form, there is an order field. What does that do? It determines the order of when the button gets displayed. What is a business rule? It's a JavaScript configured to run when a record is displayed, inserted, updated, deleted, and when the table is queried. True or false? Like UI policy, business rules can monitor fields on a form. That is false. True or false? Customizations of system behavior is done using the UI policy. False. It's business rule. Where do business rule run? On the server, but it can be client callable. If the setting is checked, then you can use the Ajax on the client side. True or false? Business rules are real-time. False. They are not real-time. They do not monitor fields on the form. They monitor records as they are inserted or updated. What should you consider before marking a business rule global? Business rules marked as running on a table global are loaded and initialized at the beginning of each interactions between user and platform. This is bad practice and will slow system response. What is client script? Client scripts are shipped to the client, the browser, and they run there instead of on the server. What client script is supported? On load, on change, on submit, on sell, edit. What do client requests plus server response equal? Round trip. True or false? ServiceNow recommend to not use client script if you can use UI policy or access control. True. Security concerns. How do client script execute? On sale edit, on change, on load, on submit. Where do you create a UI policy? Go to the form, right-click on the form header, and select Personalize UI Policy. Where will you create a business rule? Go to the form and right-click on the banner, select Personalize Business Rule. There, you'll set the name and few other variables. Add a script. What does CRUIT stand for? CRUIT Operation on a Table. Create, read, update, insert, delete. ServiceNow provides service levels of security for end users for what? Applications and module access, table and field access. What are applications and modules secured by? Roles. Only a user that has the ITIL role can access the change management application. What happens if the role field in the application is left blank? All ServiceNow users of that instant will see it. What happens if a user didn't have role access to an application and a module role file was left blank? They wouldn't see it because it's nested under the application. What is contextual security? Through access control, control every level in the ServiceNow object hierarchy. You can control specific tables in the field. True or false? Users cannot read, write, create, or delete data unless access controls are in place to explicitly allow those actions. That is true. Access to tables and fields are concerned by system properties and access control. What is access control? It's a security rule defined and set at the row level and the column level, and it is executed when attempted to access the ServiceNow table. What is access control list, which is the ACL? It is a bunch of access controls for a table. Okay. What are the two core components of an access control? What is being secured, row or table, and the rights to it. ACLs are set at what level? Row level, which is access to the record, and column level, access to the field. When you give access to a database row via ACL, it is said that you are giving a record access. When you are giving access to a database column, it is said that you are giving field access. ACLs can be defined in what three ways? Conditional expressions, which is if, then, if this, then, scripts, and roles. True or false? I have to question about that conditional expression. It might be if, else, then. But anyway. True or false? When evaluating ACLs, if the system finds two rules for incident number, which in parentheses says field, if either is true, then access is allowed. True. True or false? A row level and a field level rule are in conflicts. Both rules must be met before an operation is allowed. That is also true. What three security modules does an admin use? System properties, security. Let me repeat that. What three modules does an admin use? System properties, security, system security, access control, system security, high security settings. What type of security access does an admin need? Security admin. It consolidates security settings to one streamlined interface and add concept of elevated privilege. Where will you go to limit access to an application? Pull it up in the Application Navigator, right-click and click on the Add Application menu. True or false? Make sure you're logged in as an admin when creating an access control. False. In order to create an access control rule, you need to activate Security Admin Elevated Privileges. What is a ServiceNow event? It is an indication to the ServiceNow process that something notable has occurred, approving a request, workflow, etc. What are events caused by? User actions and script. How many events are in a baseline implementation? 235. What tables are event definition kept in? Sys event register. What is event queue? It's a table containing a record of every generated event. Where will you go to see if an admin impersonated another user? To event queue and look for the impersonation in the name field. What's the most common way for generating an event? Use business rule or workflow activity. What is a notification? It's a tool for alerting users that events that concern them have occurred. True or false? Like business rule, notification can be created when a record is inserted and updated. True. Notification can use which method to send notices? Email, SMS, meeting invitation. What are the 5 things that have to be done for notification to work? Configure email, create events and business rule, create the email notification, configure subscription based on notification plugin, use inbound email actions to perform various actions. Where will you update an email notification? System policy, email notification. What is dot walking? It's a way of saying what database and field you are referencing. What does registry entry do? A registry event is required in order to generate a notification for an event. Where you go to see if an email went out? You will go to the syslog emails. What is an update set? It's a group of customizations that can be packaged and moved from one instance to another. It's really a point in time XML snapshot of a record. How does an update set work? It writes every change to track tables to the customer update, sys update XML. Use an update set to migrate your code. What is not captured in an update set? Entered data is not captured. Examples: modified CI, data records, new data records, users and groups, schedules and scheduled jobs. What is captured in an update set? Business rules, client scripts, fields, forms, and form sections, reports, tables, views, and workflows. What one area do you manually have to add to an update set? Homepage. True or false? You cannot revert update set versions. False. You can absolutely roll back changes. What are best practices for rolling out update sets? Know what has been developed. Make sure admins are aware. Include any changes in one update. True or false? Update sets cannot be merged. False. They can be combined between users. What happens if two merged update sets are modifying the same object? The newest one would take place. How does an admin get elevated privilege? By clicking on the key in the top left corner. What can you do with a UI policy? Set fields on the form to visible or hidden, editable or read only, optional or mandatory. What does the attachment functionality in the KB article do? It displays the content of the attachment instead of the text in the form. How would you kick off a new update set? Go to the System Update Set, Local Update Set, and click New. Make your changes and then go to the Local Update Set and mark it complete. How will you import an update set? Go to the System Update Set, Update Sources, and point it to your instance. Bring it over and then go to Retrieve Update Set and Commit Update Set. What are the three ServiceNow release types? Feature release, patch release, and hotfix. ServiceNow run on what type of web service? Apache Tomcat. True or false? You cannot prevent upgrade to your instance. False. You can block an update by emailing ServiceNow. You will need to give them 5 business days. What 2 states are current release available in? General availability, which is GA, and control availability, which is CA. What do hot fixes fix? Problems with features releases. What does patch release fix? It combines hot fixes with the last feature release and does not fixes. And does other fixes. I'm going to repeat that. What does a patch release fix? Combines hot fixes from the last feature release and does other fixes. What does a feature release fix? It takes all hot fixes and patch fixes since the last feature release. How many days notice does ServiceNow sends out to major upgrades? As an example, from Dublin to Eureka, 30 days. What gets skipped during a major upgrade? Any records that has been altered from the base state. The upgrade apps looks at the customer update table, which is the sysupdate XML. Where are your ServiceNow customization tracked? Any record that has been updated is kept in the customer update table. Where can an admin go to look at every upgrade ever made to ServiceNow? System Diagnostic, Upgrade History. True or false? The Upgrade History module helps an admin locate and resolve upgrade conflicts by reverting customizations to the base version if necessary. True. Where can an admin go to see the release is running on an instance? To see what release is running on an instance, they will go to System Diagnostic, Stats, and then Stats again. Where will you look to confirm your instance was upgraded? System Logs, Events, and Find System Upgraded Event. Where will you add a notification that your system was upgraded? Go to the System Policy, Notification, and find the System Upgraded Event. Set it up to email whoever. What 4 things make up perceived performance of the ServiceNow instance? Application server response, network latency, browser rendering and parroting, and instant cache. In regards to performer issues, what is application server response? the time for the application server to process a request and render the resultant page. In regards to performer issues, what is browser rendering and parsing? The time for your browser to render the HTML and parse execute JavaScript. What is instant cache? The amount of system resource available for processing. And where will you look to see system performance? Instant log vital statistics on every transaction at system logs, transactions. How would you find the max average response for SQL network browser performance? In the system log transaction list, right-click on the header and go to the personalized list calculations. Select maximum and average value. What is response time indicator? It displays the processing time, including the total time, network latency, and browser, rendering, and parsing. Where can you find the response time indicator? In the right-hand corner of the form and list. What is a healthy total response time for network, browser, and server? 3 seconds on an average. What is a healthy server response time? 800 milliseconds on an average. Where will you go to monitor your server? You can type stats.do in your browser or go to the system diagnostic stats. What key metrics should you use to baseline and monitor your server? Memory, response time, and available semaphores. True or false? Stats.do is showing you average memory use. False. It's a snapshot in time of what's happening. What's a good range to be in for server memory? 10 to 60%. You shouldn't be under 10% for an extended period. What is a semaphore? Semaphores control the number of users' transactions that can be run in parallel. It makes sure there aren't many things running at once. When is semaphore set up, and what's that number based on? Set at implementation and based on size and load. What are social IT components? Chat, service desk chat, live feed and company feed. How will you remove a message from the social IT feed? Go to the social IT, feed administrations, messages, select the message and mark it deleted in the state field. What is the application navigator search field called? Navigator field. True or false? Every unique record in ServiceNow has a 16-character unique identifier. False. It's a 32-character. What is the list mechanic? It's a gear icon located in the top left-hand side every list. It allows you to add columns such as the slush bucket to the current list you are on. What does the clicking on the submit button on a form for the first time do? It updates the database field and brings you back to a list. How do you get the mobile version of your instance and or the tablet version of your instance? You will go to yourinstance.servicenow.com/$m.do for mobile, $tablet.do for tablet. True or false? You cannot deactivate a plugin once it is on. It's on. True. What's the user database? Sys user. What are the 3 ways you can bring users into your ServiceNow instance? The SSO, LDAP, manual import. What does the skill management plugin do? Skills-based routings within ServiceNow. How many tables are in the ServiceNow out of the box? 1,294. What does the first field in the list do when you click on it? Takes you to the form for that record. If you click on other fields like user, then it will take you to a different form. True or false? LDAP data is brought over via an import set. False. It's a special data set brought over using a different module. Brought over. What will happen if you point your browser to instant.server -now, -now at, let me repeat that over. What will happen if you point your browser to instant.server -now.com/incident.do? You'll go to a blank incident form. Why shouldn't you use a global rule? Because it runs on every record and transaction. It's unnecessary overhead for your system. How can you preview a workflow? By checking it out. You don't have to publish it to test it. What is ServiceNow cloning? It's a way to copy an entire instance to another instance. Use case would be refreshing. Dev to be like prod. What database are all customizations that you make kept? sysupdate XML. How can you test a business rule that you made? Check the server response. If it's more than 800 milliseconds, then it's a problem. What type of users is CA releases recommended for? Early adopters. Okay, that should have been maybe right at 300 questions. These questions was taken from a ServiceNow study guide for a system administrator, CRAM. So those questions that I was just reading are not my questions. There was something that I studied for when I had passed and got my admin. So I used that particular material, but I also had used other materials. And then, of course, I also had on the job practice as well before I had took the admin test. So that's just something that, I feel like maybe it would be useful for you if you guys are, if you're driving in a car, cleaning up, working in the house or something, and you just want to listen to it, or maybe while you're sleeping. So, like I said, I'm not 100% sure if some of the answers that this person had is correct. So, you might want to just follow back and check on it if it's something to question about the answers to the questions. Thank you.